Now let's start to create the sofa for our living room set. Alright, so this is going to be kind of a major piece of furniture here, so we'll take a few lessons to complete this. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to go to the top view, and the sofa that we're going to be creating for this is going to be kind of an L shape, kind of mirror this shape up here. And so what we're going to do is start with a simple plane. So I'm going to go to Create, Geometry, and let's create Standard Primitives, and let's just create a simple plane. And I'm going to drag this out so that it encompasses the back of the sofa, or the main part of the L, as well as the little arm sticking off there. So I'll go ahead and just kind of drag this out to kind of something like this size, maybe a little bit deeper than that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and maybe move this back a little bit. And so what we end up with is something along these lines, and you can see that I've got 2 segments along the length and then 4 segments along the width. Now these segments, you can kind of think of these as the number of cushions maybe that you have. So what we have here is basically 1, 2, 3, 4 cushions wide, or 4 sections here, and then this L shape coming out here. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is get rid of some of this geometry that we don't need. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. Sorry, an editable poly here. And then I'll select the polygons, and I'm going to select basically these 3 and just delete those. So what I'm left with is this kind of L shape. Alright, and now I can modify this shape if I want to. So I can take these vertices and maybe pull this back in just a little bit, and so that L is a little bit longer there. And now what I need to do is add a little bit of resolution in here for the backrest and for the armrest. Okay, so what I can do is go ahead and select these edges here, go to Connect, and we'll slide this along until we get kind of the width of the armrest that we want here. So let's say we want it to be about that wide. We'll do the same thing over on this side. Okay, go ahead and pull that out to about that width that we have there. So something along those lines. Say OK to that. Then we'll do the same thing back here. Okay, so we want it to be kind of the same width. And now, so try to visualize, this is the armrest and the backrest, and then an armrest coming up here. Now we want the armrest to extend out into the L just a little bit, but not all the way. So I'm going to go ahead and select these edges, and let's add an edge where we want the end of that armrest to be. So maybe right out there. So okay. So now in this case, we've shortened up this cushion in here, so we need to even these things up a little bit. So I'll go ahead and grab these and kind of move them over, scale them down a little bit. And once we get our cushions built, we'll be able to modify this shape a little bit more so that it matches up with the size that we have. But right now I'm just kind of eyeballing it and getting it all figured out. So the next thing that we want to do here, if we go into our perspective, you can see right now we just have a flat plane. So we need to actually add a little bit of thickness to this. Okay, so this is going to be, consider this the kind of the frame or the under part of the couch minus the cushions. So we need to add some thickness. Now to do this, I'm going to simply go to the modifier list and add a shell modifier. Go ahead and add a shell. And now for the outer amount, I'm going to make this, let's try about 6 inches or so. And see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good, but we might want to even bump that up to maybe 8 inches. Maybe something like that. Okay, and now we can go ahead and collapse that down and convert that to an editable poly. So now we're back where we were, except now we've got a little bit of thickness here. Okay, we can now bring up the armrest and the backrest here, so I can go ahead and select these polygons. So I just want to select the polygons I'm going to be extruding up. So I basically want to select these, right? And then we'll go ahead and do an extrude. And we want to bring these up a little bit higher. So consider the fact that there's going to be a cushion here that's maybe 6 inches or so up here. So you want it to extend up past the cushions. And we can change this amount later if we want to, once we get our cushions in there. But you just want to get it generally, and I've got about 2 feet or 24 inches or so. But it may be more or less than that. but as long as you have that extruded up, that'll work pretty well. All right, so now that we have that kind of brought up, now we need to kind of get geometry here that we want to use for our cushions, right? So we've got geometry here. Let's say we want this to be one big cushion. Well, we can go to our polygon selection, and let's simply select these polygons here that we want to encompass this cushion here. And for these, we will go ahead and just detach these. So we'll go down to Edit Geometry, detach those, and let's detach as a clone. So that will leave the polygons alone on the original, but it'll basically just clone that. So you can see now we've got, I can select it. I've got an actual piece right there that's separate. Okay, so I can pull that up just a little bit so we can differentiate there. Center the pivot. So there we've got one cushion, and we can also do the same thing over here. Now I'm not going to do it for all of these because once we have one cushion, of these square ones anyway, we can duplicate those across. So I'll go ahead and again detach as a clone. And then if I go ahead and select this guy and center the pivot, bring it up, you can see I've got that I can use for a cushion that matches up with the size. And then I can duplicate those over so I don't need to duplicate these or pull those polygons out at all. All right, let's go ahead and pull these kind of out of the way here. Okay. And so now the next thing we want to do is to add some resolution to this frame. So right now, if we were to go in and smooth this, it's not going to look very good at all. So if we come down to our subdivision surface and smooth that, you can see how soft and doughy that is. So we need to add a lot of resolution in here to make this frame kind of nice and sharp. Now these cushions are going to be a little bit softer, and even the frame will be have a little bit of softness to it, but we want it to have a lot more sharpness than it currently does. So for this, we're going to go ahead and use some edge selections. So I'm going to go ahead and select this edge, select the ring, and that'll select all those edges around there. Let's go ahead and go to our Edit Edges, Connect. Let's add 2 segments, and let's pinch those out so that they're much nearer to the edges. Okay, and that's going to increase the hardness rather coming through there. Let's go ahead and select across this way, do a ring selection, and now let's do the same thing we just did. Go ahead and bring that out. All right, let's go ahead and along this way select a ring. We'll do the same thing, and let's not make that quite so hard. Okay. All right, and then in here we can do the same thing. Select that ring. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and run that connect on there. And then let's do the same thing across the back to sharpen that up. So we'll select that ring, do our connect. Okay, and that should go a long way to kind of hardening it up. So now when we run our NURBS subdivision on there, you can see how that's a little bit harder. Now we missed the front down here and also down here, so we need to go in, add a few more in here. So we'll go ahead and select this guy right down here, select the ring, and this one I'm going to make just a little bit softer. Go ahead and pull that down. And now I need to add some resolution across here so that this is nice and sharp, and also right in here. So go ahead and select these edges, run connect. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add one across here so that this is nice and sharp as well. So go ahead and pinch that out right down there. And now I want to add just a couple of more. So we want to come in here and make this nice and sharp. So we'll bring one across here, connect with one segment this time, 0 on the pinch, and we'll just slide this over in here. And what this is doing is tightening up this corner in here. Say OK to that, and then we'll do the same thing coming across here. And we need to do a couple here so that we can get one coming across this way. So we'll select that ring, connect, this time 2 segments, and we'll go ahead and pull those out. So you can see this one tightens up this side, and this one tightens up this corner in here. And because this is kind of flat, we're not too worried about where all this geometry is going. Okay, let's add one more right across here. Okay, so I'll select that guy, select the ring, and then go ahead and connect. This time with, let's actually go ahead and add 2 because we want to tighten this edge up as well. So go ahead and pinch that out, and there we go. And now when we go ahead and do our subdivision on this, you can see how everything is kind of nice and tight there. Okay, so you get the softness of the subdivision, and yet you still get some nice tight edges. And this is just for the frame of the couch. Okay, the cushions are going to be much softer and much more irregular. Okay, so now that we have this frame for the couch built up, in the next lesson, let's go ahead and start to add some thickness to the cushions. Okay, so we've got these cushions here. We'll add some thickness, add some resolution, and then we'll come in, create some seams on those, and create also some cushions for the back end here as well. So we'll go ahead and keep going on the couch in the next lesson.